let me know when you see
It
us on the
says got
channel.
it. I'm clicking got it.
You don't want to be on the YouTube because you'll get feedback.
Oh, no, I don't have that open.
Okay.
I don't think. I see.
Yeah, if you didn't, okay, we're live now. So, hey, welcome everybody to Collapsing with Casey. Today we're interviewing Benjamin the Donkey. He has written, published 2 books about his limericks, and I'm really, really excited to have Benjamin on. Benjamin is just he's been around this scene for a very long time. He knows what's going on. Retired psychiatrist. Benjamin just he's always been kind of on the cusp of this information, and his limericks just popping up all over different websites and different forums and chats and stuff like that. And it just calms the mood and makes everybody have a good laugh and brings people together. And I got a couple of really cool things I wanted to read. A couple of people said, Tom Burton, I think I love what he said. Rollicking good books, wisdom that rhymes. A friend of mine, Bob Menizza, I was talking to him, and he said Benjamin's limericks were like a pressure release valve going off, relieving the pressure. I thought that was really well put. And without further ado, Benjamin, welcome to Collapsing with Casey.
Hey, thank you so much. I thought I'd try to give a little history of me to start off. I'm 79 years old, and if I'd known what was coming, when I lived in a womb, a mere sprout, I knew not what life was about. If I'd known as a fetus what's out there to greet us, I wouldn't have ever come out. I did come out of the womb, and with Asperger, with autism spectrum disorder, and that sort of made me not know what was going on, and so I tried to understand what was going on around me and so on in sort of at a cognitive level mostly. And this attempting to understand what's going on in the world has continued to this day. I wanted to understand things down to, when I started the Doom thing, I wanted to understand how change occurs in the brain down to a molecular level. In other words, how would that help getting acceptance for people? And but it turns out there's 86 billion neurons in the brain, and it's like spaghetti in there. It's never been mapped out how a single nerve electrical transmission can give rise to a conscious thought. So that we're way far about that. So, but what did happen is I got involved in Doom. At one point, after I sort of got a good handle on that, I said, if I can face everybody dying, maybe I can look at myself and see who I really am. And it's only recently that I started to work on this autism thing. And actually, this is part of my coming out about it. I'm, struggling with that. Because we're now reaching the end, there's less of a need to pretend. But the new Doom review showed myself to me too, and it's something I don't recommend. In any case, I went on to, I was a psych major in college and then went through medical school and internship and residency. And I figured that would give, if my field was, if my earning my living was in that subject, I wouldn't have to also have it as a hobby on the side, So it's more economical of thinking. In the 60s, when I dropped acid, I think that was a really important, well, not when I dropped acid wasn't important. When acid came along was important. And I, and other people too, thought we really could change the world. And, it really could be for the better. But now at this point, it's just been going downhill since then. And so I tried to figure, what do I think was the height of humans? What was the height of human? And I'm into music more than other forms of art. I had a band in college and stuff. So I picked June 1st, 1967 as the height of human civilization, because that's the date that Sgt. Pepper came out. Well, it turns out that it came out in the UK a few days earlier, and it came out one day later in the US. But in any case, it was 50 years ago today, Sgt. Pepper taught the band to play. And though I am biased, I think that's the highest we got till we all go away. My career was mostly hospital work. And starting in this century, I began telling my co-workers about peak oil. It was all about peak oil at that time. And they sure got tired of listening to me talking about it all the time. And then eventually I retired a little bit early in a fit of pique for the same reason that a lot of people are quitting. It was because my supervisor was giving me too much shit and I just wasn't going to take it anymore. And then I had a lot of time on my hands. And one of the things I got into was global warming. The first major doomer group that I was in was Life After the Oil Crash, or LATOC. It was an early doomer site, which was like a bar room with bottles and chairs flying through the air, and it was very active and exciting and funny. So that, and then they had a limerick contest. Somebody said, hey, let's have a limerick. So I said, okay. So I wrote a limerick or two and it got good response. So then I started writing more and more of them, and what I said was, what I said to myself was, maybe limericks can break through fly under the radar, since they're funny, hopefully, and wake up people who are deniers and so on. That hasn't happened yet. Anyway, after LATOC, I was in various doomer groups, and one day I actually wrote 20 limericks in one day.
Wow.
But like all of us now, I eventually stopped talking to non-doomers. Somebody suggested I put some of these in a book, and I did that. And then I kept writing and wrote a second book, which was twice as big. If people want to see my stuff, my blog is called Limericks of Doom. And if that doesn't work, adding Benjamin the Donkey should do the trick. The blog is a depository of just about everything I wrote. It doesn't have like happy birthday verses for specific people, but it has most everything I ever wrote. And there's well over 1,000 limericks there. Once I thought maybe even 1,500, I have no idea. But you can read everything there. And then I have a video channel too. Again, the name is the same, Limericks of Doom and Benjamin the Donkey. Because at one point, you can see the green screen behind me here. At one point, I got into making videos, and I started knowing nothing about it. But along the way, I learned. So if you ever go to look at it, I suggest starting with the most recent ones first. A while back, I ran out of new ideas. I would start writing something and then I'd say, I think I wrote this once before. And I'd go searching, and sure enough, there was like 5 or 6 attempts from the past when I wrote the same idea. So I didn't want to be that kind of person. And and then I didn't have the inspiration anymore because I was quite excited about the whole project and really into it. That the muse has sort of gone away. And another interesting thing is that I became a grandfather for the first time earlier this calendar year. And it made me into all the people that we put down for not talking straight because they have youngsters that they're concerned about, you know, which I found very interesting. So that, oddly enough, I think is one of the factors that makes me hold my tongue more, you know, because not talking to them about it. I think that, well, they used to read my limericks, but apparently it didn't affect them at all. Like most young people, I think they just can't deal with it. Well, you know, we can barely, I can barely deal with it shortly before my death. So, you know, how those kids going to look at the, I like the Kubler-Ross model. I think it's the best description we have. And I even have her book somewhere, but I didn't. So earlier, so I've gone through the stages like all of us continue to do. And earlier this year, I was really depressed more than I ever was for a number of months. And after a while, it kind of lifted. So I'd like to feel that I've confirmed that I've completed all the steps to acceptance because I'm finished with depression. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think that acceptance is the most important thing that for me, is the most important project at this point. Like I say, I tried to understand it all as far down as I could, but I don't have an electron microscope or anything like, and even those can't begin to show the tangle of nerves in the brain. So I had to go to different levels. I did say why acceptance takes time. Brain neural pathways require certain stimuli to rewire, and rate limiting steps in these chemical preps all take time to transpire. But more on acceptance. Acceptance allows us to strike discomfort from out of our psyche. It's easy to do for me and for you, except for the things we don't like. Help for improvement in mood might be found in the progress accrued from conviction combined with the great peace of mind that comes from accepting we're screwed. I'm working real hard to create a way to accept our fate. Pursuing that shit probably won't help a bit, but it's something to do while we wait. Here's a truth which you can't disavow. In the end, life is no cat's meow. It's getting quite late for accepting your fate. Let me know if you figure out how.
Man, there's so many bangers in that one. Just like it just hits line after line. It's just hitting, man. It's beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. So I have very, I guess I can keep talking unless you have a pressing question. You know, there's a lot of talk about gender these days and inequality and all that kind of stuff. But I thought back to other animals where the male and the female have different roles, which together help the species survive. So which sex caused the end of our run? There's no need to blame either one. Whoever's the jerk will divide up the work, and between us we'll get the job done. I have other subjects, unless you want to, I'll just go on unless you want to ask something. Here's a thing. I got to the point where I just don't care anymore, you know, a few months ago, and that's, we see that on the Doomer forums and stuff too. So I wrote something about that. Life beat me up. I was sore, and found day-to-day living a chore. I detached somehow and feel much better now because I don't give a fuck anymore. Make the most of each day, it is said, with the time left before we're all dead. Well, I've had it. The stuff that I've done is enough. I say fuck it and go back to bed. I lay me down now with forewarning. Tomorrow will soon be a morning. And of course it will suck, but with any kind of luck, I'll wake up dead in the morning. I used to be a prepper, more history, you know, in the LATOC days, prepping was a big sales thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I bought stuff that how I thought I was going to go trading in the middle of the city, you know, in the streets when law and order is gone. I didn't have the complete picture at that point, but I did go through that, and now I'm just using up my preps. You know, I have food, I'm just eating it up, and so here's some verses on that. Why prepping is important. Prepping means being a buyer for when there is no more supplier. Then things won't be dire when what you require, you should have acquired prior. When I found out we're really in Dutch, I stocked up on tuna and such. But now that I know how fast things can go, I don't think I'll need all that much. If there's any, well, I'll just keep going here. In no particular order. Oh, yeah, so here's something about Doomers, you know, the Doomer community. We've cried wolf, alarmed at our plight, from dangers now more or less trite. People think we're odd geeks and plumb crazy freaks, but this time we're going to be right. All the oppressors you knew and whose torment you had to live through and who filled you with dread, well, soon they'll be dead. On the other hand, you'll be dead too. Lately, I don't even blink when folks say we're not over the brink. Doom's beyond our control, so I'd say on the whole, it don't mean fuck all what they think. Bad reactions you're apt to provoke, telling people they're soon going to croak. But if you are sincere and they don't want to hear, fuck them if they can't take a joke.
Oh my God, that's so good. How many limericks do you have you ever counted, like how many you've written, or is that even something that you know how many you've written? Any idea?
I just asked, they're all on the blog, and I never counted them up. I sort of estimated from the number of pages and the average, you know, but there's so, and I came out with 1,500, but now thinking on it, that's an awful lot of limericks. So I'm saying maybe between 1,000 and certainly 1,000 anyways, easily.
Wow, that is a lot, man. That's like, I mean, that's like a Guy McPherson, almost like a Guy McPherson blog, but instead of like science papers, it's jokes, you know. That's pretty awesome. And they're all brilliant, man. Like everyone is just, like I said, they're all bangers, just really, really incredible. You know, we all need to fucking laugh, right? This is so bad. So something like that is, we can laugh while we think about it and deal with it too, right? That's just, you can't really deal with anything in a better way, I don't think, than to, you know, take it head on and try to just laugh at the absurdity, right?
That's what I'm doing.
That's why I titled this "The Fun-Filled Hour with Benjamin the Donkey." I think we're right on point in that. Everybody's loving it, man. Everybody's loving just hearing you tell your story and mixing it up with some limericks. So, you know, again, thank you for coming on the channel.
Thank you.
How are you doing, you know, these days? Like, you know, what kind of, do you have like kind of a timeline idea, or are you just kind of taking things day by day, or
I'm sort of I'm easily persuaded, and lots of people are talking 5 to 10 years now, and I have no problem with that. But I've been wrong many times before when I predicted it and it didn't happen.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, what kind of things did you think would have taken us out already by now?
Oh, well, food looks like a good front runner. And the internet failing is a pretty likely, it would make a big difference in our day-to-day functioning.
Sure, yeah. You couldn't buy anything, you couldn't get fuel, even if there's fuel in the system. Without the internet, your credit card is useless, right? You know, and most people don't carry or have cash, or if you have to go get cash, the bank needs the internet to take the money out of your account and hand you the money. It's just, yeah, that's gonna be a fuck show just in itself if that just one thing happens and doesn't come back on, right?
Yeah, I'm of the school that it's going to go fast. That, you know, once the final blow once the fatal blow comes, you know, the stores run out of food in a couple of days or less, and everything everything falls apart very fast after that. And law and order is gone, and central control of the government too breaks down. So you have fracturing all around in the society until it's gangs and warlords owning small areas. And then starting home invasions and stuff like that. And that's something I don't particularly want to be living through. You know, we weren't really built for industrial civilization. We evolved for living in small groups, and our sociology and our psychology and all these sort of genetic things, ways of it just doesn't work right in the society we have now, which has the large institutions and blah, blah, blah. So we evolved human social foundation we evolved human social foundation within a small tribal formation, but we're socially fluent in ways incongruent with industrial civilization. Social hierarchies a flop. It's the cause of evil nonstop. Still, things would work fine if we kept the design, but put me up at the top.
Man, people are loving this. I did want to ask you too, before I forget, can you tell me about how you came up with the name Benjamin the Donkey? Where did that come from?
Yeah, Benjamin the Donkey is an old, crusty curmudgeon figure in George Orwell's Animal Farm. And personally, you know, Animal Farm and 1984 are my favorite books from the last century. But Benjamin the Donkey has a personality sort of like mine. And so I just adopted it. You can Google Benjamin the Donkey and Animal Farm, and you know, some sites will give you sample quotes of the kind of stuff he used to say.
Very cool, very cool. I wanted to talk to you too about, you know, about you covered your personal history, but the things that you've seen, you know, you've seen so much more than, because most of us in the Doomer community are younger than you. So even, you know, I'm 50 or 49, so I've seen a lot more than a lot of people, but nothing compared to what you've seen, because you've got, you know, a couple decades on me. Can you talk about some of the things that you've seen, that, you know, some major hot points?
Well, there's two. It was the best of times in the 60s, and the worst of times we haven't seen yet.
Oh my God. Yeah, I would have loved to have been alive in the 60s. That would have been fun.
Oh, it was really something, I gotta say. And It was the best. Anyways, there's a lot of other subjects which I try to comment on here and there. For example, here's a limerick on fracking. Those bastards who are spoiling the soil, they really make my blood boil. I'd tear out their guts and cut off their nuts, except that I still want the oil.
Oh, man.
Anyway, I got a long one here if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got time.
Okay, this goes on, and then we'll have to like make up stuff or something. Well, no, I got a couple things here, like fracking. Okay, fracking. Oh, I just read that. Okay, so another thing that really that's really important now is the methane. We know about that, and I actually wrote this, I think, after the Gulf oil disaster or something. The oncoming methane disaster is too big for humans to master. The reason we're beat with increasing heat, the bubbles rise faster and faster. The methane, bubble by bubble, will heat what remains of the rubble. It's not what we planned. On the other hand, at least it's the end of the trouble.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yes, yes.
Oh, yes, I was going to read a long one here. Okay. This is called The Blind Men Were Irrelevant. And it's, of course, a parody of The Blind Men and the Elephant, which we all know was blind people trying to figure out what the elephant looked like. 6 Dushesten men had in mind that extinction's cause they would find. They thought that through thinking, they'd see their cares shrinking, despite being mentally blind. The first, the bag he was in, had a heavy religious spin. So the reason he picked wasn't hard to predict. The problem is all due to sin. The second spake, we're going to tank because our economy shrank. The future's not sunny, the reason is money, and everyone trying to make bank. The third said, we're going to expire from advances we didn't require, like the planting of plants. Now we're pooping our pants due to agriculture and fire. The fourth quote, we're feeling bereft from oppression and government theft. The reasons things bite, we're too far to the right, or maybe too far to the left. The fifth declared life is complex, and we're into it up to our necks. Our species extender lies trapped within gender. The problem is all due to sex. The sixth opined, we're down the drain, and the reason is perfectly plain. Folks are totally nuts, their heads up their butts, they're psycho and crazy insane. So each man played with his dong and disputed on whose was most long. Each thought he was right, but that changed not their plight, which made them all fatally wrong.
God damn, that's so good.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh man, Jesus.
Well, if I read these too fast, we'll have to go to commercial or make it less than an hour, or you're going to ask me questions which I'm not going to be able to put my mind together to answer very well.
I've been shocked how the limericks that you're bringing to the channel are right in line with what we're talking about too, though. Like I'm just blown away by how you're able to. They're just timely. Just in our conversation here, and the way that you the ones that you brought forth were just perfect for what we were talking about. And you sent me a list of like categories, right? That you kind of have them in.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I got a couple different, I have a couple limericks on a couple subjects here. One thing is like, what do we do now? You know, so I thought about that a little bit. Our suffering grows more severe until when we all disappear. Once you know this is true, why then what should you do? Enjoy it while it's still here. There's a lot of, hey, listen, it's all good, we'll be happy, you know, blah, 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 and sort of uplifting, inspirational stuff out there. We're fucked. Words have never been truer. Day by day, we'll likely get bluer. But there's joy, we could say, that with each passing day, the ones still remaining are fewer. Though we die after death, we'll still be part of all of the glory we see. I'm hoping this view might prove helpful to you because it hasn't done too much for me.
Oh, I know it. Know it.
Yeah, so, okay, I got a couple more that I have queued up here. There's, you know, we've also been concerned about finding meaning in our lives. What is the purpose of, you know, because this, all of us dying and we disappearing and all of our work's gone and you know, nothing left of anything except maybe a thin layer in the rock.
Yeah. Yep.
We're you know, it really makes us, confronts us with the problem of what does life mean? What is our purpose, and so on. Our terminal fall downhill provides one last chance to distill life's meaning, although if we still don't know, we probably never will. There's no meaning to life I can see, except as we choose it to be. So whatever you do might have meaning for you, but it doesn't mean jack shit to me.
Oh my God, yes, yes.
So I have, what did I do here somewhere? The introduction to one of these books here somewhere, I think. If I can, welcome, dear reader. Right now, as you read this small rhyme, some resonance in you might chime. I wrote what I foresee, moved it here, Control V, to predict what will be over time. It's not long until the grid goes, along with its poems and prose. And when we're extinct, even words we have inked, in time they will all decompose. Ecosystem collapse is leading to the Holocene epoch's receding. When all this has passed, nothing human will last, including this rhyme which you're reading.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot of fault finding, you know, there's a lot of blame. Blame is another subject, you know, that is human, but not terribly helpful. So I wrote this. Whose fault is it we're in decline? It's the system, folks acting like swine. It's the poor, those with riches, some son of a bitches, and yours, but surely not mine.
Oh, man.
So I got, you know, I got plenty more stuff here that I could.
Did we cover all the, oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm just trying to look. Here, yes, I tried, I wrote, like during the oil spill, I wrote, and during Fukushima, I wrote a bunch of stuff about Fukushima. I had one that was like a Dick and Jane thing, you know, where it blows up and it's run, Dick and Jane, run.
See Dick and Jane run.
Yeah.
Dick and Jane run to the top of the hill.
Yeah. So, but one of the things that's really been not that fun is the story of the dolphins, you know, because we don't treat them that. They used to be land animals once upon a time, right? They breathe air and all that kind of stuff, and they seem to be pretty smart. The dolphins that swim in the sea don't work and don't have TV, but they're smart and live free, so perhaps they could be much more enlightened than we. They learned as earth bourgeoisie how hard making a living can be. So they voted to split, saying, fuck all this shit, and crawled right back into the sea. Of course, I'm not all that thick to think dolphins could do such a trick. They can't talk. Instead, we all know they said, click, 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 click.
Oh man. This is a treat. This is just a treat.
Yeah. A cannibalism is another common end that some of us are going to
Yeah.
partake in, I suppose.
Make sure you add fiber if you have to eat long pig, aka human.
Yeah.
We lack fiber.
Well, like chicken or rare roast beef, whether garnished with booze or with keef, in the cannibal game, we'll all taste much the same, regardless of hue or belief.
Oh man, love it.
The future's just fine, I would think, for those on extinction's brink who like habitation in nuke radiation and don't need to breathe, eat, or drink. We're finding out that we don't have so much control as we thought too. We thought that we were like a little lower than the angels and we could terraform whatever we wanted into whatever we wanted and so on. And it's turning out it's not exactly quite like that.
Right.
So control, we don't have control anymore. We can't think that we have control anymore of what's going on. How much of our life we create has been a long-standing debate, but when closely reviewed, doom should have us conclude that we're not in control of our fate. No one can be in control when they are only a part of the whole. Many forces conflict, but together predict you're fucked, whatever your goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Goals like, why even have goals at this point? You know, unless you've got, you know, like I may have to move. That would be a goal. I got to get that house or that place to find that place to live. That's, you know, those are the only goals left, right? And even those are probably mostly unattainable at this point.
Yeah, it requires a whole new mindset. And at one point, I wanted to understand what the typical human mindset would be like after collapse, you know, because we you know, the things we believe and the things that we do are going to be totally different because the reason, you know, acquiring any kind of needed supplies and so on is going to be a whole different story. I do have another one. It's a long one if you're interested here. Somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. This one is, well, I have two of them. I have, I'm going to read a little atypical one, which I recently fell on the Stevie Nicks song, Planets of the Universe, which really was in my head for a month. And this is not it. Wait a second. Oh yeah. So this was an early one that I wrote, which was a little bit different character than fuck, fuck, fuck. Oh, I have one about fuck, fuck, fuck too. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here it is. Fuckity fuck, it's called. Fuckity fuckity fuck. Fuckity fuckity fuck. Fuckity fuck, fuckity fuck, fuckity fuckity fuck. So on a little bit different, on a little bit more elevated plane, I submit the music of the spheres. You know, the music of the spheres was sort of a thing of the ancients, the early early civilization people talked about how the planets were in the music of the spheres and so on. And so as if ruled by celestial gears, every sun and each planet steers through the timeless time to the endless space chime of the music of the spheres. And once in a great while appears a collection of atoms which hears ere vibrations beguile, and once in a while the music of the spheres. But none of them perseveres when their favorable niche disappears. And in every case, they don't leave a trace, just the music of the spheres. We mean nothing, we and our peers, in the infinite miles and years, in the endless place and the timeless pace of the music of the spheres.
Nice.
But let's see how time, yeah. So I have another long one. It's the tale of the St. Matthew deer. Now, the St. Matthew deer were talked about a great deal in the first decade of the century, and it hasn't been a hot topic so much, you know, in everybody's writing now. But what happened was, I think, during the World War II, as part of setting up some kind, I don't know, they set up bases in Alaska and so on, you know, to catch stuff. And there was an island where they took a couple deer, I don't know, just a few of them, and put them on this island. And they prospered and lived long. And eventually, of course, the planet ran out of stuff for them to eat. So they all died. And that was sort of a paradigm for like what's going to happen to us. And this is another one of these sort of takeoffs of you know, famous poems or something like that I did. So, but not any specific poem. Listen, my children, and hear how their island became their beer. Take a seat, lend an ear, you might shed a tear at the tale of the St. Matthew deer. Overshoot, when it came near, made their privation severe. Through conditions austere, it made disappear the whole herd of St. Matthew deer. They never will reappear, even if they did persevere. Some nuclear sear plus a Venus-like sphere means no more St. Matthew deer. Doubter, hold back your sneer, because we're right at that same frontier. And it's all very clear, there goes our career, the way of the St. Matthew deer.
Oh, wow.
I guess that was sometimes I write stuff as sort of like, what do they call them? Sketches or studies. Artists have to do studies, you know. I would try to, I would as an exercise. And this one obviously was an exercise in how many words will rhyme. And I did use a rhyming dictionary for it, I will admit. Let's see, is there anything else that you would like to bring up? Before I have a couple more here, but is there any topic that you would like to, since I've monopolized all of the airtime so far, maybe you would like to say something since you're the host.
I'm just having a good time, man. This is just great. Did we cover all of the topics? Did we get to all of those?
Well, I more or less, I think I have one last one. I have one to read last, which is my all-time favorite. So when the time to close out comes, I'd like to read that. Then I have
Perfect,
a few more sitting. Oh, wait, yeah, okay. Yeah, so I have a few odds and ends here. This is about what to do when it happens. In the battle to stand as last man, you won't want to admit if your plan is designed to derive what you need to survive by stealing whatever you can. And then I have one that that spoiler has a double entendre, just so you don't miss it. We think that the deniers are crazy, but oblivious minds running ruts are for guys with their heads up their butts. Their twisted position blocks optic transmission, and that's why they can't see their nuts.
Oh, man.
And here's an earlier one I wrote before now. Make hay while the weather is sunny, make jokes and maybe some money, because one of these days we'll run out of delays and this dying thing won't be so funny.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, those are the ones which I queued up, but I have like paper clips on the corners of the book, so I could keep going forever, but you know, if we're taping this, we have to leave room for when it goes viral, and they have to fit in commercials and so on within an hour, 1 hour period. So,
Right.
so if we, oh yeah, so that leaves me with all of the queued up stuff, which I thought would show a little bit of the variety of stuff that I had, and so on. And so I'll shut up for a moment.
Yeah, well, I love how you've got stuff that's related to you know, different things that were happening in history, like Fukushima and peak oil, you know, all of those things. Because there's so many topics, you know, in Doom. Obviously, there's so many, you know, there's so many things that and it seems like now we're at the point where it's like literally everything has kind of come to a head. Like it looks like we're running out of natural gas. You know, fossil fuels have to be pretty low. We can't get chips, you know, chips for our computers, our cars, our phones, or, you know, our trucks that drive and haul the food to the stores and the fuel to the gas stations, right? It just seems like everything's kind of coming to a head all at once, which I think is probably kind of a plan in a sense that, you know, they know how much more we need to carry on. So it seems like they're going to try to, you know, ration things as best they can. And, you know, until the end. And when I say ration, I mean, you know, not overuse them to where one is going to run out before the other. You know, like they were trying to kick off, you know, trying to get rid of coal, and we're going to do clean coal years ago. And I thought that was kind of funny. And now, of course, it's like, well, shit, we got to just burn whatever the fuck we can get. And, you know, that'll help dim the sun a little bit more too, and really fuck up our oxygen levels and our, you know, and our the health of our oxygen. But it's just going you know, going down. Levels are getting worse every day, it seems. You know, and they just raise the bar. They just change the bar to make it acceptable, right?
It's going really fast, you know. I mean, this is it. This is really actually happening right now.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty scary, huh?
Oh, it's just mind blowing, and hard to accept. It's really, and some people used to say, geez, I can't wait till we have the big collapse, because it'll be the biggest shit show in history, and I really want to see it, you know. And my position was, I don't want to be around for that, you know, but it's already happening. So there's not a lot of time left to think about what to do.
Yeah, Back to Earth made a good point. He says there's a lot of new scenarios ready to be made into limericks. He hopes that you're going to keep on writing more limericks. Is that I know we were talking the other day, and you said you kind of felt like you're out of ideas. But do you still maybe sometimes have things pop in that make you want to write something, and maybe you can put some more out before the end?
Um, I've actually, I've considered I consider myself retired from regular limericks now, because of that kind of reasoning. And because when I tried to do it, it seemed I don't like them. They come out forced or whatever. And another big reason for the success of in the early days of my limericks was I was sort of like the teacher who reads the book a day ahead of the class, so I was sort of on the, I was sort of pretty much along the forward edge of following what was going on. Nowadays, there's, I'm in the middle of the pack. I'm not any smarter than anybody else. And there's a lot of doomers who are way smarter than I am. So I think I've said once that I would, if I did write a third book, it would be all about acceptance, how to reach acceptance. But I can't do that because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it's acceptance is probably very personal, huh? Like it's not something that that you can really, maybe you can try to help somebody come to acceptance, but I think maybe that's something that people really have to, it's kind of a personal thing. They have to be able to be there on their own, and you can try to hold their hand or whatever, but acceptance, I think, is probably really from within. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. In fact, it makes me think of something here, if I can pull it up, which apparently I cannot. But what the limerick sort of says is that you can't really tell people what to do. Oh, there's a few limericks on this subject, come to think of it. Everybody has to find their own way because we're all different. And also one of the limericks ends that you shouldn't tell people what to do because their way isn't yours.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It'd take me too long to find it right now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, it is like Bob is saying, it is cathartic though to be able to put these down on paper, right? And that had to have been really good therapy for you.
Oh my Lord. It's how I dealt. Well, how I've dealt with doom so far is by writing and with dope, which, what more can I say about dope?
Yeah, I think marijuana can make a lot of pain go away, or kind of numb the pain. Having a drink or a few does the same. You just have to, I think, alcohol you have to be careful with because it is a depressant, and you can, it can carry you downhill if you let it. So you have to, and I think I do an okay job with being able to maintain, having enough that I'm getting mellow and chilled out and kind of relaxed in the evening. Because if I don't, like, I just feel too overwhelmed, and it's just too overwhelming. I have to have something, especially in the evening, so I can kind of settle down and get ready for bed, and and hope that I don't wake up the next morning. but not overdo it with the alcohol, because I probably will wake up the next morning, and I've always had jobs or things to do, so I've got to get up in the morning, and I'm back to where I don't have that right now. I'm just constantly thinking about what can I do to to go out and make money, or get rid of the house, and how I'm going to do it with the animals. It's just a whole cluster. But yeah.
I just thought of a third thing that has helped me, which is sleeping. I developed this ability to go to sleep like when I was working in a clinic, I got a lunch hour, and I could count sheep and go to sleep and then wake up a couple minutes before it was time for the next hour. And sometimes I'd have to orient myself or figure out where I was or who I was or something like that. But sleep is a great restorative, which so anyway, so I learned how to make myself sleep doing like long shift calls or something, because you get calls all night long, and so you have to like get the sleep in where you can. So that has helped me a lot too. And I've just been sleeping up a storm for quite a while now. And I mean, I've gotten to the point where as soon as I feel even a little bit tired or a little bit bored, or I don't know what to do next, I lie down, go to sleep for an hour or two. And I think it's really been helpful for me.
Yeah. I think that's part of, we all need our sleep. And I think a lot of people with this knowledge have a hard time sleeping. And then we only have, a lot of us only have a certain allotted time that we can sleep because we got to be at work or we got stuff to do around the house, stuff like that. So if we can't even get good sleep during our little bit of allotted time, then it's just, it's miserable to be tired all day and every day. And, and then just hoping that you have a weekend off so you can just sleep in and finally kind of catch up. And of course, you can't really catch up on sleep. It just means you're not going to be tired that day, but the moment that you get another shitty, 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep again, which I know for 4 hours is a lot of sleep for a lot of people. It's not for me, but I often have to operate on 4 hours of sleep as well. So yeah, sleep is just so important, and it really makes the time go by too, right? It's less stressful.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, what do you think? You want my favorite limerick here?
Yeah. We're getting close to the end of the hour, so if you're ready, let's do it, man.
Okay, it's called Life's Conclusion. My whole life, I tried to construct a theory why so much stuff sucked. What I learned getting prepped was just try to accept that when you are fucked, you're fucked.
Yeah, man. That's I couldn't have said it any better. I couldn't have closed it out any better. You're absolutely right. Then and then just trying to deal with it. We all have our ways, and so thank you so much, Benjamin, aka Herb. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I really enjoyed this, and I know everybody, including myself, wants to have you back. So let's do another one whenever you're ready.
Oh, these things, you know how long, you said somewhere how long it took for you to convince me to do any show, right? And
Yeah.
and I feel like I kind of got talked into this a little bit sooner than I was prepared for. But yeah, we can talk about that. And thank you so much for providing this platform and for the work that you do in the groups that you lead and the support groups and stuff. Because as I've said before, I think you're really good at it. And I've seen a lot of group leaders in my time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's just I'm just on the Collapsing with Casey, my page and this channel. Then of course we have the private Zooms that you're in on as well. That we'll do Tuesdays at 6. So that's 5 hours from now. We'll do one, the private one. So anybody that's not on that, send me an email at practicetrack@yahoo.com and I'll get you on the list. And Benjamin's often on those as well. So you guys can chat with him as well on these private Zooms. That's really cool. So thanks again. Thank you for doing this. And everybody really dug it. I was following the chat and everything, and it was just people are having a good time. And that's what it's all about. A good hour to kind of decompress the day and what we're dealing with, what we're up against and all that stress, right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you on Friday at the on the live stream. 6 o'clock is Eastern as always. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it.